Everybody, how's it going? Dan Shinder here on Drum Talk TV live. Well, live if you're watching it live while we're live. Otherwise, you're watching the archived live. And tell us where you're watching from in the comments. I'm broadcasting from Globe, Arizona, 100 miles east of Phoenix, up in the mountains where it's kind of isolated from all the madness so far. I hope everyone's staying healthy and staying happy and keeping occupied and doing the right things wherever you are. And our guest today for this first Drum Talk TV interview is Tom Price of GODSTICKS from Wales. He's broadcasting from his home in Wales. How are you, Tom?
I'm very good, thank you, Dan. How are you?
Great. Thanks for making time to come on, especially on a Friday evening. However, I guess unlike most Friday evenings, there's not a lot to go out and do right now.
No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not.
Yeah, and for you youngsters that are watching this like 5 years from now, 10 years from now that don't know what we're talking about, there was this coronavirus thing going on and there's a lot of isolation. It's really weird. I'm going to be 57 in a couple weeks and I've never seen anything like this. So everybody, stay safe. So I'm excited to talk to you, Tom, because we share a lot of the same influences, actually. I'm going to read off Tom's influences, then we're going to watch a clip of some music, and then talk about his drumming, his influences, his band. Mike Portnoy, Phil Collins, and Chester Thompson are both huge influences on me. In fact, yesterday I did a tribute to Genesis, played some wacky stuff, which was fun. Gavin Harrison, who's been on the show, Brian Downey, Joey Jordison, one of my favorites, Bill Bruford. So a nice eclectic mix of stuff there, which is really cool. Who would you say, besides me, of course, is your biggest influence? Is there any one drummer?
Well, you might be able to tell from the things I have kind of like in my background.
Oh, yeah. I left out Neil Peart. Oh, boy.
There's no denying that. Yeah, I am most definitely one of those drummers that wears their influences like as plain as possible to see, you know?
Me too.
Yeah, he's my biggest one.
Yeah, he was a huge influence on me, and an influence quite early on. I was introduced to Rush by a friend in 1976. I was 13, and he brought over the album 2112, and I'm sure the whole time I had a face like this listening to it. You know, it was a whole what the F is this moment for 40 whatever minutes that the album is. And then, like most bands that I get introduced to, typically the first album I buy is a live album because I want to hear an assortment of their work and I want to hear it more raw. And so I went out and bought All the World's a Stage, and that was it. I've been a huge Rush fan ever since. I saw every tour since Hemispheres except for 2, I think. And some of those shows I saw more than once. So yeah, Neil Peart had definitely left an amazing mark on the world of music, on the world of drumming, on the world of lyrics as well. Lyrics, that is. So let's jump over and watch some of Tom's playing. Here we go. Check this out, boys and girls. awesome work, Tom, and I definitely hear your influences, and I think one of the things that stands out the most to me with the influences is two things. One, the commonality between all those drummers as far as changing modes, the groove just totally shifting, taking a left turn and going that way, but also the really nice arc in dynamics. I love that in music, and I have so much respect for fellow drummers who are really good at that. So really good job. Tell us about the band. How long have you guys been together? What's the instrumentation? Tell us a little bit about the history and what you guys are doing now.
The band, I would say, is probably just over 11, 12 years old now altogether.
Wow.
But I've been in the band for about 5 of those years. So it started out life as a free piece. So mainly guitar and the singer doing the same thing there, bass and drums. I used to go and see them. I was a fan of the band before I actually joined it, really. And yeah, they were just still very, very small. They had a couple of albums out, but they were gradually starting to get a bit noticed and get some followers. And I would always go and see them whenever I could in my area. And yeah, eventually when they were looking for a drummer, they decided they wanted to go to a 4-piece.
Ooh.
So when they were looking for a drummer, I just thought, well, I have to go to it. Never thinking in a million years that I would get the gig, but luckily I went and auditioned, and they chose me, and I've been playing with them ever since.
That's awesome. And what's the 4th piece they added? An accordion?
Just another guitar. So two guitar players, one the singer and guitar player, bass, and now drums. So 4-piece.
Cool. I love the lush background vocals too. That's really cool.
Oh, cool! Excellent. Yeah. We've those are mainly down to our singer Darren. Yeah, he's the mastermind of everything. He's the main songwriter. So he's kind of like he's the man in charge.
Yeah, the production's really nice too. I love the drum sound. Can you tell us a little bit about the recording process?
Yeah, sure. Well, the recording was done at a studio not too far away from where we are in Wales right now, called Mono Valley. Mm-hmm. And back in the day, back in the 70s and so, I think it was connected to Rockfield, if you know the studio Rockfield.
Yeah.
Which is a famous Welsh studio, and bands like Queen and Rush as well. Queen recorded, I think it was Bohemian Rhapsody and the Night of the Opera there at Rockfield, and Mono Valley was kind of like a rehearsal space, just somewhere where the bands would just go before the actual recording, mm-hmm. just work on their songs, I guess, and then move it all over to the studio and take it from there. But now it's an actual proper recording studio. So we were lucky to spend some time there, and I could record my drum tracks there in the awesome live room they have there, and yeah, it all sounded fantastic.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's a great sound. I'm gonna check and see who's watching real quick. Give some shout outs. Just typing something real quick. Tell us where you're watching from, everybody. And we have, I think I see Gina. Yeah, Gina G. Osmar is watching. Hey, Gina, hope you and your family are doing well. And I saw, here we go, let me pull it back up again. Had to refresh it. We have Tony Tomich. And all that just disappeared. How strange. Well, chime in, folks, and tell us where you're watching from. I personally love discovering new talent, and regardless of how long you guys have been around, it's new talent for me. One of two of my favorite bands that I feel like I recently came across. One is a New Orleans-style ragtime Dixieland music from the 20s and 30s band called Tuba Skinny. And then on the other side of the coin, you may be familiar with this band, Haken, with Ray Hearn on drums. I discovered Haken shortly after Vector came out a year ago, October. And wow, what a refreshing blast of creativity they've been. So then I worked backwards in their catalog, which was neat to kind of go through the de-evolution, the evolution backwards. So yeah, it's always fun to come across new music and meet new folks like yourselves. What is on your schedule? Are you guys, well, I know we can't tour right now, but when all this health stuff goes away, do you have a tour planned? Did you have one planned that you had to put off? Do you have anything coming out that people can tap into?
Well, yeah, we unfortunately we were due to do a little tour around the UK in about 2 weeks' time at the beginning of April, but yeah, sadly we had to postpone that. Yeah, it just yeah, there's just no way that live music can kind of carry on when all this other crazy stuff is happening. So yeah, we just had to postpone it. Think of just being cautious, trying to do the right thing, and we just decided to postpone that. But I'm hoping that everything will kind of everything will go back to normal very soon, hopefully, because the next thing that we have in the diary, we're starting to do a few festivals. In June, we're hoping to go to a festival in Portugal called the Commendatio Festival, playing actually on the same bill as Haken, as you were talking about there. So,
Wow.
so yeah, I'm really hoping, keeping my fingers crossed that will still go ahead, and there'll be plenty more festivals across Europe then going through the year, and hopefully we'll still get to do our little tour of the UK. Yeah, we're trying to just rearrange that now, make it all work, and hopefully do it at the end of the year, maybe.
That's great. That's great. Where can people find your music? Is it godsticks.uk.co?
Yeah, swap those two around. Yeah, godsticks.co.uk. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah,
Great.
yeah, but we're part of the K-Scope label. So I'm sure if people search for K-Scope or go onto Burning Shed, the online store, you can find our music on there. We've just released a new album called Inescapable. So yeah, hopefully if you're interested in checking us out, hopefully you can pick up that album.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who didn't see the clip that we played, and we only played one clip, I know that your musical repertoire is wider than that. How would you describe Godsticks to someone who's not familiar with your music?
That gets harder and harder, really, because all of the different influences of the guys of the band, they all kind of come together, and so it's very hard to kind of make it fit into one genre. But we're definitely regarded as a prog band, a progressive band. So I would say heavy progressive rock with maybe like a little bit of metal thrown in for good measure.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's what I hear, and that's how I think of Haken. In fact, there's definitely a deeper level than. Not that there's anything wrong, folks, with just metal, but there's some other layers of other things in there that you definitely can hear, even in the sense of the textures and chord progressions and things like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like I said, yeah, we all throw in our influences. Yeah, we're as a band, we're big fans of like Frank Zappa, of Dream Theater, System of a Down as well is one of our like collective favorites. So we'll always listen to them if we're traveling together in the band van and things like that when we're on tour. So those are the ones that we share. But yeah, we have so many other influences, and yeah, we just try to kind of work together and write our parts, I guess for the song, try to make the song sound as good as it possibly can.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know if you would know the answer to this, but is there a big difference between radio airplay in the UK and Western Europe versus the United States? And what I mean by that is, back in the day when I was really super active and I was doing session work and I was in bands, I played up and down the Sunset Strip in Hollywood, and I was in a progressive rock band at the wrong time. And what I mean by that is, we're talking like 1982 through 86-ish. And back then in the United States, progressive rock was really evaporating, because on one end you had new wave, and on this end you had hair metal, and it was all converging, and progressive rock just got squeezed out of the picture. No airplay, and a lot of bands adapted. If you look at what Yes did with the 90125 years, the Trevor Rabin years, if you look at how Genesis morphed into much more commercial music, as we call it here, it really changed the landscape of what flies on the radio in the U.S., and I guess in North America, for that matter. What's the temperature like as far as that goes in the UK? Do you still have a lot of creative latitude, or is there a limit to really how long a piece can go and how long an instrumental section can go and how many time signatures there could be? Like, what's it like there?
Well, that's hard to say, I guess. I mean, I think, I think for the kind of music that you were describing there, maybe what you would think is the traditional kind of prog rock tropes. Obviously, yeah, it would be quite hard for them to get a lot of radio play. But there's so many great independent radio stations, like independent rock stations that they're definitely not afraid to play that kind of music as well as all the big rock hits. You know, they're definitely not afraid to share that as well. And we've been lucky that we've had a little bit of airplay on these stations as well. So I guess maybe in the mainstream it's not so much, but if you look hard enough and you find those stations that are dedicated, you know, and you know, all run by people who love that music as well, you can still find places to listen to the music, which is really cool.
Yeah, you know, to show how much it has changed, I remember being like 18, a senior in high school, 18, 19, you know, right around that time. So we're talking 1980, 81. And there was actually an Los Angeles radio station that would still play like a whole side of Tales from Topographic Oceans by Yes. You'd be able to hear that on the radio, you know. Now, forget it. You know, there's nothing like that. So I always find that evolution an interesting topic. Randy Rask is watching. Chip Regie is watching. John Kinsting is watching from Michigan. Thank you so much, John. John does a series on Drum Talk TV. He's got two now. One's called Brushes, Boobas, and Blunders, where he shows some insight to using brushes. And he's got a new one called The Talking Hi-Hat that we're going to debut on April 1st. So thanks, John, for tuning in. So you followed this band that you're now in. You were a fan, and then you found out they needed a drummer. You auditioned. What advice might you have for drummers who are auditioning for bands if you know what it is about your audition that nailed it for you? Was it simply just knowing their music really well, or was there a lot more to it?
Well, I guess it'll be hard for me to say that. Yeah, maybe you have to ask the other guys about that. But
you never found out, like, hey, why'd you guys pick me?
Well, I don't think I really asked, to be honest. But the feeling that I had after I went home from the audition, you know, I think the feeling that I had was that I just gave it everything. You know, I treated like going for that audition as, like, you know, the biggest thing that I was going to be doing at that time. So I just tried to put everything into it. I practiced as much as I could, listen to the music as carefully as I could, and
lot of prep, right?
Yeah, just prepared as much as I possibly could. Yeah, and then I guess the only other thing I can add to that is that afterwards, of course, you talk to the guys, you chat to them, and you you just kind of like you see how you match personality wise, I guess, as well, you know, and
right.
And I think we get on really well. We share the same sense of humor, and we can have a laugh with one another. So I guess you also want to get to know the people as well that you're playing with, you know. But I just try to just play as good as I can, and luckily it worked.
That's great. Yeah, chemistry is important. I mean, I remember being in a couple bands where not everybody got along, and it's awkward. And I think it can hinder the creative process. It can hinder the fun that we all should be reaping out of the experience of playing live and recording and writing and arranging and producing and all those things that come with being in a band. So it is indeed great when everyone can get along and actually be friends, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah. So, again, Gavin Harrison, Neil Peart, Bill Bruford, Joey Jordison. We've got a nice eclectic mix, but if you put all that through a sifter, all those gentlemen have great work. What is your one album stuck on an island with somehow a forever powered iPod that you could listen to over and over and over and never get tired of?
That's a very tricky one, because it's a for me anyway, it's a constantly changing thing, but just to kind of like reaffirm like the level of my fanhood. It will most definitely be a Rush album, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's constantly changing, because at one point it would be 2112, at one point it would be Moving Pictures,
Yeah.
at one point it would be A Farewell to Kings. It could be absolutely anything, you know. I think the one if I had to choose one, I probably would just have to go for Moving Pictures, because you know that's just the one, I guess. If you're trying to get somebody else to listen to Rush, and they ask you what's the one album I should try, you know, to get into them, if they were asking me, I would always say Moving Pictures. So I guess I have to be the one.
That's great. That's good advice. Yeah, it's a nice collection of music. That's a great cross section of not only everything they had done up to that point, but of things to come as well that they developed into.
Definitely,
cool.
Definitely.
Yeah. Great. So now it's time for the Tom Price Fun Fact question. When you're not playing with the band, when you're not playing drums or teaching music or doing anything related to music, what do you like to do?
Okay. I guess the other kind of big things that I do that I do in my spare time. I'm a big motorsport fan. So I really like watching Formula One and rallying and various different forms of motorsport. You know, some American ones like IndyCar and NASCAR as well. I dip into every now and again. I just love motorsport as well in general.
Nice. I love that. My dad was a car nut, and I grew up being exposed to all that at an early age. And I grew up with Jackie Stewart, who was in Formula One and Indy and all that stuff. I grew up listening to him and watching him race, and then becoming the quintessential commentator on those races and everything like that. Yeah, it's fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. I've been following Formula One, especially for as long as I can remember. You know, so yeah, that's kind of like my main kind of like sporting attraction there. But I also enjoy films and TV. I play lots of video games whenever I get the chance. I don't get the chance to play too much more because, well, things are getting busier and busier. But whenever I get the chance, I'll have a little play of something as well.
That's great. And do you teach? You do teach, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm trying to make music my career. So as well as playing with GODSTICKS, I'm doing teaching as well, private lessons in my local area, and I'm also working with covers bands. You know, playing the weddings, playing the parties, and
nice.
and I work with a tribute band as well, which is a lot of fun. And they tend to be the gigs that I play the most. And GODSTICKS, we kind of fit in when we get the chance, and everything comes together.
That's great. What is the tribute band, Tom?
So I play in a tribute band for a band called the Specials. If you know the Specials, that's a British ska band.
Yeah.
So very, very different from like. But I've kind of been part of this kind of core band. We've been together for over 10 years, and we've kind of morphed and changed like different through different sets, covering different bands. But we just had the idea a couple of years ago to do a tribute to the Specials, and amazingly, that's kind of becoming really popular as well, which is great.
That is great. And do you also teach lessons online?
No, I don't really tend to do that at the moment. It's something I definitely want to get into. At the moment, I just do one-to-one lessons. I'll have the students come over to my house, or I'll travel to them, and we just kind of learn, in the room together, one-to-one kind of thing.
Great. I want to just see who else is watching real quick. Oh, Mark Gowith is watching. Mark is the head dude that we work with at Switcher Studio. So folks, when you see us broadcast live from the NAMM show, when you see us broadcast live from Singapore, from Japan, when I do my almost daily vlog down in my studio a few times a week, Switcher Studio is the software that we use to switch between the different cameras. We use iPad minis as cameras. We can fly in graphics, we can fly in other footage, we can fly in photos. In fact, Tom, I'll have to send you the link to my Neil Peart tribute, which ended up being 3 hours long. I did one song from every album he played on. And we used a lot of Switcher Studio's benefits for that, because between each song, my wife would fly in a picture of Neil at his setup for that particular tour of the album I was going to play a song. So stuff like that is great, and it's great for teaching online as well. So Mark, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, really cool stuff. Cool. Well, please stay on the line after I say goodbye to the audience. And again, I appreciate you taking time to spend time with us on embarking on a weekend to talk about GODSTICKS. And folks, thank you for following what we do on Drum Talk TV. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Tom Price. Check them out at godsticks.co.uk. I got that right that time, right? Okay. And dip into their music. And again, I'm going to play a bit of this clip again on the way out for the latecomers. Let's check this out one more time. Here's Tom. Very cool stuff. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you again soon. I'll be doing a daily vlog tomorrow, Saturday, at about a little after 2 p.m. Pacific Time, U.S. I'm scheduled to interview Nandy Bushell, the 9-year-old phenom who's in London, but we may have to reschedule because there's a family member that has a bit of a cold and we want to play it safe. So waiting to find out about that. But thanks, everybody, and thank you, Tom. Hang on the line, and folks, we will see you again soon.
Thanks.